Welcome to First and Goal, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Get ready for the latest and hottest topics in the SML. Let's get started. Here's your host, Mad Bomber.
All right, SML, welcome to this week's episode of First and Goal. This week we've got Fins meets QP again and Primetime 000. What's going on, guys?
How's it going?
Not much, buddy. Good to be here.
What's up?
All right, so this looks like it's going to be an interesting episode of First and Goal, so we'll get started with Fins. You're going to go first. Got to be your favorite topic. Is Paulie tanking again?
Fuck yes. Yes, he is absolutely tanking again. Look at his record. He's worse than me. A guy who is a perennial winner in this league. I mean, he's made it to multiple bowls in his old league. A guy who prides himself on his football knowledge, his ankle taping knowledge, all of these things in football. And he's just, like, you watch his games, he's throwing at guys. He's throwing into triple coverage. He's calling against me. He called 4 straight cover 0 blitzes, left Tyreek wide open for the game-winning score. 100% this man is driving I don't know what kind of a Sherman tank. There we go. Go
You're
America.
dating yourself there, Fins.
I don't know what the new tanks are. We don't have them up here. So, yeah, he's driving some old Sherman tank. Well, I mean, Paulie's jokes are all old anyway, so Sherman tank fits. So he's driving a Sherman tank, just marching along to hopefully get the number 1 pick.
All right. Meese, what do you think?
Yeah, no, Paulie's absolutely tanking. And a perfect example, go back and watch that kick he had against Grams to either tie or win the game. He missed it by a mile, and it was iced, sure. But, I mean, you could see it when you have to hit it, and he missed it by, like, at least a full second, maybe 2 seconds. And Paulie's tanked before. He's tanking now. And, I mean, he's a consistent 10-win team. There's no excuse to be winning 3 games. I don't care if you've got football practice. I don't care anything. New game. Everybody's got their excuses. Paulie's tanking.
All right, Prime, what do you think?
He is not. And the Fins of the world and the Meats of the world don't consider a few things. First of all, Paulie hates Grams, and Paulie would never intentionally miss a kick against Grams. If you see their chat conduct between each other, they do not like each other. And Paulie is a man of pride, at least in that game. He also does not like Fins at all. So that's another person he wouldn't tank against. Third of all, Paulie doesn't even need to have the number 1 pick by losing because he's got KJ's pick. Fourth of all, Paulie joined another league, his old league, to help him out. It was an all Madden league. And he was struggling with the switch over, so he actually quit this league just like a week ago. So I've actually scrimmaged with Paulie before the cycle started, and he was incredibly bad every scrimmage we played. I mean, so bad with freeform, he literally threw 20 interceptions in one game when we scrimmaged. I mean, bad. So he stopped freeform. I've told him he needs to pick it back up, and he's kind of picked it back up, and I kind of feel bad giving the advice because he's thrown a bunch of interceptions after I gave him that advice. So I partially take a little bit of blame for all these interceptions that have been happening.
All right, QP, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'll just, to follow up with that, just ask a few questions myself. Does Prime respect Matt?
Yes.
Is Grams rich?
Yes.
Yes. Is Colt a swinger?
Yes.
Yes. So Paulie is tanking?
No!
Yeah. Okay, so those all are, synonymous. And you don't get a top 8 defense for almost the entire, up until, what are we, week 14? I've been on a bye for about 17 days. So, and week 4, up until about week 10 to week 11, he was a top 8 defense. You don't get to be 2-9 or 3-8 being a really good defense, but somehow not being able to close any game out. That being said, if he can't close any game out, does Tim Hasselback or whoever, Matt Hasselback, want him on the sidelines with him? Because if you can't close the game out, why are you a coach? And if you're a coach, you should be able to close the game out. I think it's just all signs point to yes, and he's been a notorious bad field goal kicker, so I don't know how we can use that as an evidence or fact at this point.
He sucks at field goals, and he's always been bad at game managing, even in playoffs. I just want to put that out there.
That is true.
This is not the first.
But the playoffs are nerves and pressure and little tiny nuts. That's what playoffs are. Like, there's a difference than regular season.
Yeah, he did lose to Faz because he missed 2 field goals. So kicking, not his strong suit, but I mean, I just played him and it was close for a half, and then suddenly he threw like 8 interceptions. So I don't know, because I don't know why you would continue to throw interceptions when you're down 40 points.
Yeah.
You can tank without making it a blowout, but like you said, he did it before, so I'm not convinced he's tanking this time, but I can definitely see why people are. All right, topic 2, we'll go to meats. So all the hype Prime's creating for himself, I think I've heard him talk about himself more than Tiny talks about Tannehill in chat. And is this going to be the biggest fold for him if he doesn't win the Super Bowl?
Fitting you started with meats.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm an expert on folding, so I have a solid viewpoint here. And I know you guys are expecting me to go against Prime, but I'm actually going to say no. And I'll tell you why. And that's because Prime has folded harder before.
Ooh.
None of you will remember this because I don't think any of you other than Prime were here. Way back in season 16.
I know where you're going with this.
Colts and Falcons were in the Super Bowl. Prime, I think, was, and maybe you can confirm, Prime, was nearly undefeated or undefeated.
Yeah, one of the two.
I've regarded it as one of his most dominant seasons ever. Rivaled only by maybe this one. And he lost to Lawyer Killer, who that was his only Super Bowl. I mean, he was a solid player, but that was his only Super Bowl. One of his only times there. I think he went 2 or 3 times that cycle. And he folded hard in the Super Bowl against a guy that didn't amount to anything afterwards. So no, I expect him to end up playing, some guy that has a bunch of championships in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl. And I don't think losing to one of those guys is any worse than losing a dominant season to a guy that hadn't done anything else.
That's fair. All right, Prime, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a good answer, Meats. I guess I want to say the reason why I have talked so much this cycle is last cycle I didn't talk at all, and I had this love affair with Matt. So I said, you know what? This cycle I'm going to keep my love affair with Matt, but I'm going to add on to it, and I'm going to win. And I'm going to win, and I'm going to win again, and then I'm going to talk a bunch of trash to Faz. So that's kind of been my goal this year, and I've been pretty good at it. As for the folding, I don't know if it would be my biggest fold, but I would be incredibly disappointed if I didn't win a Super Bowl this year. I'm pretty confident, and I know there's not a super team yet, so even though the Colts aren't the best team, I don't see anybody's team like with an escape artist or anything like that has me super intimidated. So I would consider it one of my bigger folds if I don't pull this off.
Okay. QP, what do you think?
I think absolutely. Since the merger where it was more relevant for Simbardi's, he has not ever advertised anything like this season for himself. Just case in point, he just said that he was playing Lawyer Killer in the Super Bowl. I mean, no disrespect, but come on.
I was going to say that may have been Lawyer Killer's only winning season that I've heard of.
We don't want to talk about that. Yeah, we don't want to talk about Prime being Bill Russell or Will Chamberlain in the 50s. So I've never seen Prime talk this much about himself in a season. I've never seen I'll go on record actually. I've never seen any Big Five member or good member talk about themselves as much as Prime this season. And I don't know if that's because he does know that he is going to be, that he's going to run through all of us, and he is that confident, or if there's something hiding at the end that he knows he's going to get to maybe 19-0. He's creeping on the door, and at the end of it all, he gets put away by somebody that maybe studied or maybe just happened to beat him. And then it could be, well, I almost made it. I almost did it. To be fair, this was the Colts in season 1. Yada, yada, yada. I think that this is going to be Prime's biggest downfall if he doesn't make it, just because what he's done himself with his own 2 thumbs.
Okay. Vince, what do you think?
I'm gonna find myself doing something I didn't think I would do, is agree with Meats and also say no, because I've seen Prime fold before. Prime took the best team last year in the Chiefs and did not win anything with them. I also saw him fold against Faz with that run defense in the Super Bowl when he gave up that long touchdown.
Yeah.
So Prime's folded before. And speaking of Faz, Prime's only hyping himself up because Faz has something that Prime never hasn't done yet, and that's perfection.
Actually,
So
I have 3 times.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
okay, 3 times. Okay, but that was against plumbers and other guys, right? Like, this isn't against the quality. Like, everyone says that. Like, all longstanding members say that this is the most talent the SML's ever had. That's probably true, right?
with the
So
tanking.
well, but Paulie's a better player than what he is, right? Like, Paulie's definitely better than a 3. Like, if you're losing to me, like, you're not very good. It's I can take it. I'm not good. Like, it's fine. Paulie's definitely doing that because he's tanking. Anyway, Faz has done something that Prime is like so desperate to match that he's just he can't help himself. So if he doesn't get it, I'm still gonna say no, but it's a little bit riding Faz's coattails. That's what I'll say.
I won't. I'm not going to match Faz's 20-0 season. I'm going to surpass it, and here's why. In Faz's 20-0 season, he had 7 force wins. One of them, or at least one of them, was against Dan. I think one of them might have been against QP in that playoff run, and a few other really high quality players. So I know there's Thanos Club. This show's a little Thanos Club heavy, but at the end of the day, the fact is, if you take 7 or 8 force wins in a 20-0 season, it's hard to say that that's a true 20-0 season, in my opinion.
Anything to say to that, Thanos Club?
I mean, the record stays for itself. If he has force wins, but you can't like, it's only the schedule you have, right? If your opponents aren't available, then what are you gonna do?
So what we're hearing is 13-0.
13-0.
I just run security.
No one's talking to you.
I just run security for Thanos Club. I don't actually talk about the political part of it.
Okay, then let's move on to topic 3. We'll start with Prime. I think this might be a good one. So we got the rumored patch coming, Thursday or something like that, right? Hopefully we avoid a blip. Who do you think, with this patch coming out and possibly avoiding a blip, who do you think's the most disappointed and wishes they could redraft? We'll start with you, Prime.
I'm gonna say it. They've hit on it, and I'm going fast. And here's why. I've swept him this cycle. I've blown him out by 3 scores every game. And the fact of the matter is, it wasn't even close. He couldn't throw on me. He couldn't run on me. He wasn't on my level. And at the beginning of the season, beginning of the cycle, when I made these little jabs to him, it was kind of fun, and he'd laugh and he'd share little gifts. But now, if you look in chat, the pressure's starting to mount a little bit. He's starting to fire back, little snide little remarks, and the jabs are going to keep coming from the old goat. To the body too, low, boom, boom. We're going to keep working him, and I'm going to keep winning. So I think he's wishing the blip happened, and I think he's wishing we redrafted so he could go like he did last cycle and run to the NFC, like he did when I killed him with the Chiefs, and then he ran to the Bills.
Okay, QP.
I'm going to stay in the same division, and I'm going to go with NYT.
Yeah.
I think that NYT really, really enjoys kicking the shit out of the guys that somehow fill up into his division pretty fast. I think that he really likes to be the top dog of his group, and right now he's only able to make jokes in the chat, not really produce a lot of wins, and that's not any disrespect to him. It's actually because he's in a really, really difficult division. And he's got a rookie quarterback, and we all know that when you have a rookie quarterback, you can't really make all the accurate throws, even when they're wide open. Sometimes they're going to miss the mark and go right into the defender's hands, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I'd have to go him because he definitely, again, he likes to win. He likes to be relevant in the playoffs, and he's going to have a really, really, really difficult time if we don't blip making the playoffs. So
Oh, I've already said it. He won't make the playoffs if we don't blip.
Yeah, it's sad too because I like NYT's. Him in the playoffs is good for business.
RD, Faz, and Prime are the 3 best players I've seen in his division the entire time I've been in SML, and that's over 4 cycles. Divisions. I mean, before that it was ZZ was the best, or maybe Woods.
Yeah, they see him and they run in there.
Yeah, so definitely think he's probably on the list for wanting to redraft. How about you, Vince?
NYT was actually going to be my pick as well, but I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to say Coop. Coop had a really high pick.
Yeah.
And Coop's kind of come on record too, saying that, had he have anticipated the Browns being available at his pick, he would have taken them over the Seahawks in a heartbeat. Coop is a really good team builder. We've seen that in the past. That Titans team he had when I first joined, that defense he did a really good job with that team. And Coop's always been a really good team builder since I've been playing with him. But when you start off with a really good team, it just puts you ahead of that curve, right? Like he's done some good things. I think his defensive end or defensive tackle is leading the league in sacks. Like he's done some work there. Walker looks pretty good, but just to kind of get out in front of that and have those star-studded players, as you know, last year, Bomber, with like you did such a good job with the Browns too, that just puts you way ahead of the game.
You got a lot more wiggle room that way.
Absolutely, yeah. Plus you got that young receiver in Schwartz, and Delpit's really good, and those guys. Like that team is just amazing. So I'm gonna go with Coop.
Okay, and Meats, who's your guy?
Yeah, listen, I wanted to change my answer at the last second, but to me, it's just so clearly, obviously, NYT. I agree with QP. It's not Faz, and I'll tell you why, because Faz is not scared of Prime. He's not scared of a little bit of tough competition, and I expect that one to be more 50-50 by the end of the cycle. But NYT, I mean, you guys hit on it already. He's in the worst division for the caliber of player that he is and the caliber of team that he has. Malik Willis has not developed or been the kind of guy that he was expecting it to be, and I'd almost expect Willis to be someplace else next offseason if we don't blip. I just think Bomber, you already said it. I don't think there's any way for NYT to find a path to the playoffs in that division, playing 6 games against guys that are tiers ahead of him. So I think NYT tries to go to at least a somewhat easier division if we have to redraft.
All right. So last topic, we're going to start with QP. Who do you think is going to be your surprise team at the end of the cycle? Either how bad they did or how good they did.
I don't want to pick on NYT, so I'll go somewhere else.
I said surprise. Somebody that you didn't expect to do bad.
I'm just gonna have to continue giving my little brother some love. I'm gonna go with Gutta. He's already 9-5 with Kirk Cousins. Claims he hates him, even though he has decent numbers. I think that he's in a pretty tough division. As you can see, one of the guys on this panel is 11-2, and he's in that division. You got Tanker Pauly, who is he's gonna tank him later when he starts beating him. And he's just a little bit better. Pauly's a little bit better than what he's shown as well. So I think that Gutta establishing himself early on as an opponent in that division is definitely going to benefit him moving forward. If we see him develop his defense, Gutta's a pretty good defender. A lot of people don't know his user defense is pretty solid, and he has a pretty good little scheme that he has going. And he likes to build on defense as well. So he has a few pieces there that are really good cornerstones. And Harrison Smith, hopefully barring that he doesn't retire this year, is going to be a good sub linebacker for a few seasons for him. I already see him as an AI. He kind of wreaks havoc in the run defense as a safety, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, he likes to play a lot of man defense, it seems, and this game kind of plays right into that. Vince, who's your guy?
Yeah, there's a couple of guys I'm going to go with here, but I'm actually going to go with DW. I think like DW is in kind of he's in a really bad way right now. I just played him, and he's got a little bit of tunnel vision happening right now. Like he is just kind of like focusing on one play. I'm the panel expert at tunnel vision and throwing picks. So like when I can kind of see it, it's really prevalent. That team is just too good. And DW has a a track record of being, kind of in that, like we have the big five, and then we have the next couple guys like Dom and I think I'd throw Meats in there too with the way he's playing right now that can contend. Dump, Paulie when he's not, on Thomas the Tank Engine. And then you have guys like DW
Clink.
who are, Clink, absolutely, thank you. And then you have guys like DW who tend to make playoffs more than they don't make playoffs. So he's going to find his way. And by the end of the cycle, I think, I think he's got a chance to make the playoffs more than he misses the playoffs.
Okay. Meats, how about yours?
I was going to go with DW, but I'll change it. I'm going to go with Noel. And he's struggled a little bit of late, but he is still sitting over 500. I think he's in a winnable division. He's got Colton, he's got Field, and Rice in his division. I think he can win that division at least a handful of times. I think he can surprise one or two guys in the playoffs this cycle. And I think he's going to have a bounce back cycle from the one last year. One guy that I think is going to be worse than we're all expecting, at least in the immediate, is Dump. And he's sitting at 7-7 right now. He's got the Falcons team, which is not good. It's got some good building pieces, but they're not a good team right now. And he's in a tough division. He's got Dom and Clink in that division, and Monty can beat him too, sometimes if he wants to. So I think Dump's gonna get kind of frustrated and struggle with some of these seasons this cycle.
Yeah, he'll be a fun one to watch. See what happens. Prime, you want to close it out? What's your biggest surprise, you think?
Yeah, I'm looking at Clink actually, and I think that the NFC has really had QP and Dan penciled in as their favorites, and I think they are. But if one guy is going to contend with those two to win that conference and maybe make a few Super Bowls, I think it's Clinky. He's got the team for it. He's really playing just about the second best out of anybody in the Thanos Club right now. Probably second or third best between him and Faz. I think QP's the obvious number one. And I was watching his game against Dan, which he lost, by the way, by like 20 points.
Yeah.
But watching that game, he was very irritated and he was showing a lot of emotion. And you could take that two ways. You could say, oh, Clinky's salty, blah, blah, blah. But you can also think, okay, this guy, he wants to win. And I haven't really seen that fire from Clinky in the SML really before. All right, I have a chance to win, and I really want to win. I haven't seen that from Clinky before in the SML. He's getting married, and all this stuff happens in his life. All that's past him now, and I think that we're going to see a motivated Clinky, and I think he might make maybe two Sambardi. He's not going to win them, but he's going to make it there, and I think that'll be impressive.
Yeah, I'm going to give you 3 bonus points on that because I said that on Heat Check a couple times last cycle. Was Clink doesn't talk very much about himself. He kind of plays the, oh, I'm okay, whatever, but every once in a while he'll drop a little one-liner that makes you think he wants to be talked about as better than he gets credit for.
Yeah, he does.
All right, so with that, speaking of winners, we've got Finns with his second win on First and Goal with 100 points. There was no way he was losing after that absolutely fire rant that he dropped last time. So Finns, these 30 seconds, all yours.
Man, thanks, Bomber. I really appreciate that. Hey, man. That feels good to win. I don't win very often, as you know. We started off 3-0. We're now 6-8. Things haven't been very good of late, but we're plugging away, but we're fighting. Unlike someone from Boston who doesn't fight, who rolls over and keels and says, "Oh, I'm just too busy with football and life and cutting the grass." And all those other things, we're trying to win up here. So thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, that's been another wonderful episode of First and Goal. Thanks for being on, guys, and look forward to the next episode as well.
Thanks for listening to First and Goal. Be sure to check out Mad Bomber TV on Twitch and YouTube for the latest from the SML. And we'll see you next time on First and Goal.